Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. The topic today is secure collaboration in the cloud. The webinar is being hosted by the ABA Legal Technology Resource Center, and speaking for us today will be Nitin Gupta and Chad Burton. The ABA Legal Technology Resource Center is an ABA member benefit provided by the Law Practice Management section of the ABA. We have been providing lawyers with technology guidance for more than 25 years now. If you are looking for some information on legal technology, all you have to do is go to our website at www.lawtechnology.org, or you can visit our blog at www.lawtechnologytoday.org. And we have a variety of guides, articles, comparison charts, and a backlisting of old webinar recordings as well. You can also find us now on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Nitin Gupta is a Director of Industry Marketing at Box. He is leading Box's professional services vertical. Prior to Box, Nitin was the co-founder of LawPivot, the largest online marketplace for consumers and businesses to connect with lawyers. LawPivot, which was acquired recently, was funded by Google Ventures and has been featured in a number of leading industry publications, including Law.com, the ABA Journal, and the Daily Journal. Prior to LawPivot, Nitin practiced law as an intellectual property lawyer at Townsend & Townsend, a top national intellectual property law firm, and he has authored a number of articles on legal technology matters in leading publications and is often a panelist on emerging legal technologies. Chad Burton is the founding attorney of Burton Law, a virtual law firm based in Ohio and North Carolina. His practice focuses on two primary areas, business law and dispute resolution. He received his BA in political science from Miami University, and he has a JD from Case Western Reserve University. Chad serves on the advisory board for the University of Dayton Law School's program in law and technology, and he's a member of the e-lawyering task force and the education board for the ABA's Law Practice Management section. He's also the vice chair of the Dayton Bar Association's Law and Technology Committee and chair of the DBA's Leadership Development Program. He's served on the Ohio State Bar Association Council of Delegates, the DBA Board of Trustees, and is the chair of the OSBA's Young Lawyer Section and the DBA's Young Lawyer Division. He's also a fellow with both the American Bar and the Ohio State Bar Foundation. So thank you all for joining us today, and we will now begin the webinar.
Thanks, Josh. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining Chad and me for our webinar today on a new way for law firms to work. Here's the agenda for our webinar today, and we will be talking about the following items. We will start off by talking about the trends that we are currently seeing in the legal industry. Next, we will talk about the real challenges that law firms are facing today. Thereafter, Chad will talk about ways that his firm is addressing these challenges and provide clear use cases. First, Chad will talk about how to effectively collaborate internally with your employees. Next, Chad will talk about how to collaborate externally with your clients. And lastly, Chad will talk about how to effectively use mobile devices to deliver legal services. Thereafter, we will open the session up and answer any questions you may have. Legal industry trends. One important trend that we are seeing today is that the delivery of legal services is fundamentally changing. Over the last decade, as a lawyer, an entrepreneur, and a technologist, I've witnessed firsthand the way mobile and cloud technologies have changed the way lawyers work and communicate with clients. It just had to happen. Clients now are demanding more immediate responses and access to information, and lawyers are increasingly frustrated by the lack of flexibility, speed, and the usability of existing corporate email and adequate and extranet technology. To provide the effective delivery of legal services, in my opinion, it is more and more important than ever to focus on the underlying technology, which ultimately facilitates the effective delivery of legal services. This underlying technology will ultimately determine the effectiveness of the delivery of legal services and start to differentiate the type of legal services provided to clients. The great news is that we have seen an incredible amount of innovation in the underlying technology. Another trend that we're currently seeing in the legal industry is that there is no office anymore. We are no longer bound by four walls. Lawyers are expected to be able to work wherever and whenever. Whether that location is in a Starbucks or 35,000 feet in the air with Virgin America. You are your own office as long as you have a device that's connected to the internet and your network. If you can't deliver that to your clients, it will be more and more difficult to provide the level of client service that your clients expect. To address this trend, combined with the changing of the delivery of legal services, we see the next trend, which is the rise of the cloud. So we live in a whole new world now. 10 years ago, we were so excited by the power and flexibility of client-server computing and apps that we could push out to users. Today, we're evolving and transforming because of the disruptive power of the cloud. The cloud is changing the game, changing how we access information, applications, and content. The cloud makes accessing information fast. It makes it easy, it makes it fun and accessible anytime and on any device. If you think about it, it all started with the likes of eBay and Yahoo and Amazon. And these simple consumer applications were incredibly fast and powerful. And one day someone asked the simple question, hey, look, why can't we have the same ease and functionality with business applications? And what you see now is you're seeing more and more cloud applications being deployed at law firms and in enterprises. Law firms have attracted and retained clients largely by their reputations, their work product, and prominent practitioner names. What we're seeing, though, is that technology has joined the rank and has really become indispensable for lawyers. In Gartner's April 2012 report on cloud providers having a promising future in the legal industry, it said that today, how well a legal IT department supports its lawyers is a critical indicator of the firm's competitiveness. The great news is that we've seen a huge shift of lawyers moving to the cloud. The following stats, as you can see, show this natural progression. Some law firms are ahead of the curve and have really been taking advantage of the cloud. According to the 2012 ILTA Inside Legal Technology Purchasing Survey and the Legal IT Professionals 2012 report, first, 45% of firms favor moving key legal applications to the cloud. This is a great fact, in my opinion, that proves that legal applications are moving to the cloud, and lawyers are now realizing that the many benefits that the cloud brings. For example, reducing technology infrastructure spend, streamlining workflow, improving accessibility, etc. Next, 32% of firms are currently using or implementing a cloud solution. Now, a couple years ago, this number was very low, but you see this natural progression, how 32% now are using cloud solutions, and this number is only going to increase, in my opinion. Lastly, 61% of firms provide IT support for employees that purchase or bring their own tablet. This proves that more and more lawyers every day are using mobile devices to deliver legal services. And a great mobile user experience is crucial to essentially effectively delivering legal services. With these legal industry trends and the current adoption that we see of cloud services in law firms, we will now shift gears and talk about some of the main challenges that law firms face today and how we think that cloud collaboration can solve these technologies. The first challenge that we see law firms face is really the ability to access and edit legal documents on the go. We see now more and more lawyers are constantly on the go and are facing increased pressure to be more and more responsive to their clients. Currently, lawyers are emailing themselves documents or carrying around USB devices to then access those documents from their mobile devices or computers. Lawyers have to find new ways to be able to access any legal document on the go and then have the ability to edit that document if needed. Secondly, we see that law firms face the challenge of not being able to immediately send large legal files. Lawyers and paralegals are constantly sending large files, legal files, to other lawyers, to paralegals, to co-counsel, and to clients. Currently the process of sending large files is very inefficient, right? Files are being burned on CDs and then sent to the appropriate individuals. Thereafter, an email confirmation is sent the next day to confirm whether the documents were even in fact received. And additionally, these files that are being sent are highly sensitive and confidential and really are not being sent in the most secure way possible. Third, law firms have outdated FTP and extranet servers. Files are currently being stored on FTP and extranet servers, and lawyers and paralegals are really having difficulty accessing, sharing, and really collaborating on these documents. These outdated servers do not allow lawyers and paralegals to quickly search for or find documents in situations that are very time-focused. Additionally, they don't have that heightened level of security that law firms are looking for, right? That have compliance such as HIPAA compliance or high-tech or SSAE 16 type 2 type of compliance. Fourth, law firms' legacy document management systems, DMS, have limited functionality. Big and medium-sized law firms typically have DMSs such as iManage and others. And what lawyers really would like to see is they would like to extend iManage's functionality to efficiently access and edit those documents on mobile devices. Some law firms are right now not willing to fully replace their DMS, but are looking for ways to really extend its functionality to mobile. Also, they would like to assign different levels of permission to users to access, to preview, to download, to edit documents, but really are unable to effectively do this. Lastly, collaborating on legal docs with clients has always been a challenge to lawyers. Lawyers and paralegals are constantly collaborating with one another and clients, and there really is no efficient way to track workflow and version control. Emailing documents and forth is very cumbersome, and a history of changes is hard to maintain. The great news is that many of these challenges that law firms currently face today are addressable by cloud services, specifically like Box. So very quickly, what is Box? So Box allows lawyers to access, manage, and share legal documents securely and easy from any device. You could think about Box as sort of a shared drive in the sky. By storing your legal content in the cloud, you can access it from anywhere and from any device, whether that's an iPad, an iPhone, or such. But more than sharing, we believe Box provides an easy and intuitive way to collaborate. So you can easily add collaborators, you can edit files, you can make comments, and you can assign tasks. Because we think it's easy to use, and because we think the security and administration tools needed by it's needed by law firms, many lawyers have found it useful, including chat. Right now, it's being used by over 150,000 businesses. It has over 15 million users, and we've experienced 160% year-over-year growth selling to the enterprises. You could securely put many legal documents in the cloud, such as motions, patents, contracts, pleadings, legal memos, employee agreements, financials, board meeting minutes, office actions, and briefs. So now switching gears, I will now let Chad talk about ways that he thinks about secure content collaboration and ways that he is using Box at his firm today to address many of the challenges I described today.
Great, thank you, Nitin. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I guess I'm going to talk about the use case aspect of this. And at the beginning of the webinar, Josh mentioned that Burton Law is a virtual law firm, which probably could use some context for purposes of this discussion. We are, as we sit here today, a 7-lawyer firm with lawyers around Ohio and North Carolina. We work in a distributed manner, have centralized conference room space, but otherwise work mobily. And so when we're talking about the cloud, you can imagine the importance if we are not in a traditional brick-and-mortar setting. So having secure cloud-based platforms is incredibly important for our firm to operate. We have not several, that's probably overstating it. I'd have a revolt with our lawyers if I said several. 4 or 5 primary platforms that we use to operate as a law firm. And we use Clio for kind of our backbone as far as time and billing, calendar, tasks, some communications. Box is used, obviously, for our document management system. We also use DirectLaw to provide legal services online. So we are a full-service law firm in the traditional sense of serving clients, but we also deliver legal services online. And we use Google Apps for Business for email, calendar, and contacts. The reason we use these platforms is because they integrate with each other. That's one of the great functionalities that you will see with the high-end platforms, that they, especially in the legal sector, everybody's realizing you can't operate your technology in a silo, and they need to be able to talk to each other. So being able to, for example, key one, we won't get through all of them, but Clio and Box integrate with each other. So when I am in a matter in Clio, I can go to that dashboard. I can see all key data related to that matter, including the documents that's stored in Box. So if one of our lawyers is sitting doing some work and upload something to Box, then we will automatically see it in Clio. So that is probably a good segue into internal collaboration within the firm. The aspect of being able to, and actually here's a slide you can see here that shows how Box actually shows up in Clio. It's at that end of the arrow, but you can, what happens is now, Box is integrated into our centralized platform. And the reason we use Box is because I feel it's the most, on an enterprise side, we've got the security. Let's put that off to the side, didn't cover that. But the ability to collaborate internally is huge because we can assign tasks to each other through Box. So a document that needs to be reviewed, for example, this morning one of our other lawyers sent me a draft of an appeal brief for me to review. I received a task via Box. It takes me directly into the document, and I can make edits on the document and then send it back to the other lawyer. It can be locked, so we're not screwing up versions of it. And we have used Box as our central platform to store our critical data, because lawyers, we have what, 3, we have obviously our at least self-perceived brilliant analytical minds, our oratory skills, and then you've got our documents. Those are the 3 really key aspects of what we do. So documents are such an important part, and being able to access those and use them in a manner that helps us better serve our clients. The easier I can access a document, the easier it is for me to serve our client effectively and efficiently, and ultimately helps drive down costs on it. And whether you are working in a traditional brick-and-mortar setting or in a more virtual type scenario, you need to be able to share information and collaborate on it. And so the way we have Box set up from a practical perspective is, imagine your Redwell. So if you are not a paperless office right now and you have piles and file drawers full of paper. Hopefully, you at least have them in some kind of read well, and then you have sub-files, manila folders from there. That's really what our box structure looks like. You've got the overall client file, and then it's broken down by key subject matters, whether it's pleadings, notes, etc. And we set that up so that when we are collaborating on matters, we know where to go and can access that information. So you can imagine the importance of having policies and procedures in place to make sure that all of your documents are automatically put into Box whenever they are received. Because if you do not have that in place and there's a question as to whether a document is actually stored on our system or not, that is going to be problematic from a collaboration standpoint. So that, I guess, is kind of a good overall view of how we shoot documents back and forth. Along those same lines, I want to give you a few examples from external collaboration. One of the hot topics that are out there now, is the idea of client portals or shared online portals, where you can put documents up in some kind of file in Box. For example, what I will do is I will invite external collaborators to a folder. So when I set up that file tree, as I talked about earlier, one of those subfolders will be called Shared Client File or Documents Produced to Opposing Counsel, something like that, where I can invite an external collaborator, whether it's a client or opposing counsel, and we, as in the law firm, can copy or upload documents to that shared file, and then that external collaborator will receive a notice and can then go into the file and download it directly. That has so many uses, and it's tied to this fake email that I created for purposes here. You can see the bold link in that fake email. One of the my favorite features of Box is the ability to share documents via a link, and that's so I don't send attachments unless I absolutely have to. I do not send real attachments to emails. I send them via link, and the link is incredibly important. What it does is it serves many purposes. One, it reduces the size of emails. One of the points that Nitin had earlier was the challenges with sharing mass amounts of data. We can upload literally gigs of data into a folder on Box if we so choose, and then email a link out to an external or third party. They click on the link, and then all of the gigs upon gigs of files will be there for them to download. So instead of sending emails 1 of 50, 2 of 50, and you have all received or sent some iteration of that, you send one with a link in it that sends it off. And you think about when you send an attachment to an email, you have no idea what happens to that attachment once it is sent off. You have no control over it. That is different with a link. The link in Box allows you to see access stats. So if I send opposing counsel a link to documents saying, hey, here are documents produced in response to your document request, and they come back to me and say, Chad, I never received that. I'm going to go fight with you in court over it. Well, I can go to the access stats, and I can see when they accessed it down to the minute. That is incredibly powerful. If you tell opposing counsel, hold off, guess what? I sent it to you at 12 p.m. on this day, and at 12:05 you opened it, previewed the document, and you downloaded it. So before you go accusing me of not producing documents, think twice. You can also password protect that link. So when you're talking about protecting confidential data, you can kill the link either on a set time to say in 24, 48 hours, the link goes dead, or you can revoke access whenever you would like. So there you can see it becomes incredibly powerful and cost-effective. Sending, Nitin used the example of sending off a CD and all the steps that go with it. Here it's copy a link and fire it off. Easy as that. So one, it's incredibly effective. You're saving, if it's your staff doing it, it's saving their time. If you're doing it yourself, it's going to save you time as well. And so that is one of my favorite features of Box, is the ability to send a link. And it has served many purposes. And the fact that you can see in this fake email I drafted, it was drafted on my iPad. Let's actually, that's a good segue into the mobility aspect of things. We're a mobile firm, so I work remotely all the time, and I have an iMac, and I am on the move quite a bit, like many of you I'm sure are. So I work off of mobile devices, my iPad and iPhone, quite a bit, and that ability to function remotely like that, even if you have a traditional brick and mortar setting, is very powerful when you're trying to, either you're traveling for business, or you are have the audacity to take a vacation, or you want to go to your kid's soccer game. The ability to access data on the move is becoming so commonplace and so necessary. It's probably about 5 weeks or so. I had been traveling, and I only travel with my iPad and iPhone. I don't take a laptop or anything like that with me. Came back from that trip, and about a week went by, and I realized I had only used my desktop computer for about an hour. Another week went by, and I hadn't used it again. It was about I'd say about 5 weeks ago. I have used a regular computer for about an hour. So I have been working full-time off of my mobile devices. And it's not like I have been sitting around checking Facebook constantly. That's only probably half of the time. But there's been a lot of heavy lifting being done, drafting appeal briefs, and being able to communicate constantly with clients, whether it's through Clio, Box, email, etc. I've been operating our practice and serving clients strictly in a mobile manner. It did seem kind of like a challenge at first, but now it's just been very natural. Box has been huge in that for me. You see a screenshot now of the Box app. So I can go into the free Box app and access all of our documents. They can be edited. So I can use apps such as Pages or QuickOffice to edit documents and save it back directly into the Box mobile app. And so there, that keeps the collaboration going. So I can edit documents, create documents, and allow those to be accessed by the rest of our team. And I've explained my weird fascination with links in Box. Here's another one that when they updated the iOS app, I felt like it was Christmas morning for me in that sick nerd way. But under the share functionality in Box, in the Box app, it's a native app, you can see my giant arrow there is pointing to something that says copy link. So in the Box mobile app, I can now copy a link for a document or a folder, however large it is, and then, kind of like you saw in the previous slide, copy and paste it into an email directly on my mobile device. So I have literally brought co-counsel onto a case, and they needed to get up to speed, and off the iPad I jumped into Box. They needed a specific folder. I copied the link and shot it off to them. I mentioned drafting an appeal brief. That started off in Box. It was edited in Pages, saved back into the it was drafted and edited in Pages, saved back into the Box native app. I then grabbed that link via copy link. I sent it off to our virtual assistant for processing to get it out the door, and I emailed it off to the client through that copy link functionality. That is mobility perhaps to a sick extreme, but it just shows you the potential that is out there when you're talking about collaboration. So, Nitin, said earlier about the quote-unquote office, being dead. This is a great example of mobility where you can function anywhere and collaborate both internally and externally with your team. And that's a huge development from a law practice standpoint and the ability to effectively serve clients. I guess one last example was in a client meeting yesterday off-site, and a discussion came up as to a particular document that was produced through discovery in some ongoing litigation. And that was important to take a look at that document. So it took me about 30 seconds to pull that document up from the Box app on my iPad. And you think back to a paper society and paper-based practice, or one where you're not you don't have those documents at your fingertips. The conversation a couple years ago for me would have been, hey, I'll make a note of that, so when I get back to my office, I will shoot you an email or give you a call and see what that says, because I brought some documents with me, but I didn't bring the entire client file with me. That's a very different conversation from a client service perspective, and can save you time, and it becomes better client service, at least from my perspective. So that's an overview of different ways we can collaborate. I think we have Nitin is going to do an overview here, and we can take some questions.
Thanks for that, Chad. And yeah, in summary, as we talked about, the legal industry is currently changing, right? The delivery of legal services is changing, and we feel that the underlying technology, which ultimately allows a lawyer to provide legal services, is becoming more and more important every day. We also think that you just don't have an office anymore where clients expect responses regardless if you're out of the office. And lastly, many law firms are moving to the cloud. And cloud services like Box really provide a real solution. Secondly, there are real challenges for law firms, like we were talking about, accessing and editing legal documents on the go, immediately sending large legal files, outdated FTP and extranet servers, legacy document management systems that have limited functionality, and collaborating on legal documents with clients. These are all real challenges that law firms face and have to be addressed. Lastly, we feel that secure cloud collaboration tools like Box really provide a real solution. They allow lawyers to collaborate internally, they allow lawyers to collaborate with clients externally, and they allow lawyers to access and edit documents on mobile devices.